Welcome to ABC Interactive English. Hello there, I'm Mike.
And I am Karen. Today we are looking at part A of our dialogue, and it's about a big trip. I love going on trips.
Yeah, a big trip, a big voyage, a big holiday, something special. This isn't just driving down to Tainan to visit your grandma, although that is very nice to do.
Yes.
No, we're going to probably leave the country and go on a big adventure. Do we know anything about this big trip? Will we be going to Africa for a safari to look at wild animals?
Well, I don't really know the destination. I don't know where we're going, but I know we are going on a cruise ship.
Okay,
that sounds nice.
That's pretty special, and usually
Very
those
fancy.
would be a pretty big trip. You often go on a cruise for 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, sometimes even a month or longer. Have you ever been on a cruise ship?
Unfortunately, no, I have never been on a cruise ship. Have you ever been on a cruise ship?
I have the same answer as you. That's a big no. I have
Really?
never been on one of those large floating hotels filled with restaurants and fun and entertainment and swimming pools and theaters and shows and all sorts of fun stuff. Did I mention the food in the restaurants?
And the buffets,
And the buffets and more food and more restaurants. No, I haven't been on one. My mom likes to do that. She's, an older lady. That she's pretty familiar with these. One time she wanted me to go on a cruise to Alaska.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
I couldn't do it. I was too busy. I didn't have time to meet her, but maybe in the future. How about you? If you were going to go on a cruise, would you have one place you would love to visit in your big boat?
I think just somewhere tropical, because I like really, really hot and warm weather. I don't like the cold, so Alaska wouldn't be a place for me.
Okay, well, yeah, it is cold, but the whale watching.
Oh, that's
You can go up there, see the killer whales, and so I think that's a big draw. But let's find out what's going on with our big trip here. It's going to be Alex and Carly, and we're going to find out what kind of adventure they had on their cruise ship holiday. Alex is telling Carly about his trip.
The cruise ship blew my mind. It was huge.
I heard it holds the record for the world's largest cruise ship.
Yeah, I found out later that it's 5 times larger than the Titanic.
Wow. How many passengers can it have?
All right, so as you can see, our title for this dialogue is a big trip. You could also call it a big voyage or a big holiday. And this will be a holiday that will probably take you quite far away from home and also maybe for quite a long time. So let's find out who is going to go on this big trip.
Well, like you mentioned before, we have 2 characters in our dialogue today, and that is Alex and Carly.
Okay.
So Alex is telling Carly about his trip. Oh, actually, Alex probably already went on the trip, right? So he's going to tell Carly about it.
That's right. He's about to make Carly really, really jealous about all the cool things that he saw and did on his cruise ship. And he starts off with telling us how he made this big trip. He said, "The cruise ship blew my mind.
Ooh.
It was huge." Okay, well, there you go. That's a good way to begin. We know that his trip was on a big cruise ship. This is, as we said, a very, very large boat. Something that's bigger than a boat is called a ship. And a cruise ship is one that is made for holidays, for vacations, and for having fun. I called it a floating hotel.
Oh, that's true.
It's kind of a floating hotel,
It
but
is.
it also might have a casino and an entertainment area. I mean, it's got all sorts of stuff, but it's really made for people to go on holidays and have a really good time and be entertained while out at sea. And he says it was huge. Yes, cruise ships these days are getting crazy big.
Bigger and bigger.
You've probably seen the movie Titanic. I think we'll get into a few numbers. The Titanic was tiny compared to the cruise ships today. So calling it huge or really, really, really big is definitely an accurate adjective or word to use. So big, it blew his mind. When something blows your mind, it's like your mind is exploding. Of course, that would be really bad for you. You would probably die if your mind exploded like in a horror movie. So it's not talking about really that happening. It's talking about I'm amazed, I'm shocked, I'm surprised. It is way better or bigger or different than I expected, so much that I felt like my mind was exploding with surprise and shock.
Wow, I would really like to see how big it is since how he's describing it. It's huge. So now Carly says, I heard it holds the record for the world's largest cruise ship. Wow. So something holds the record of something means to be the best or have the highest achievement in something. For example, like a sport or a game or no one else has done it better. So it's actually the biggest cruise ship, right? So for example, you can say, she holds the record for the fastest time in the 100-meter dash at our school. So holding the record, that means she's the fastest runner.
That is very, very fast. She must move like the wind.
Hello, I'm Tina. 我们来看一下刚刚对话里提到的文法重点。Blow one's mind. 令某人叹为观止，这是一个口语用法。我们来看看这个例句 ：The magic show really blew my mind。那场魔术表演真的令我叹为观止。下一个文法 ，hold the record， 保持记录。Record 是名词，意思是记录。后面常用 for 来接名词加以说明。我们来看看这个例句 ：Ryan holds the record for the highest score in the game。Ryan 保持游戏中最高分的记录。接着我们回到课文当中。
Okay, we are back to our dialogue, and Alex says, yeah, I found out later that it's 5 times larger than the Titanic.
5 times larger? That means that's Titanic times 5.
Times 5. So imagine the Titanic.
5 Titanics.
Then imagine a boat 5 times as big as that. 5 Titanics kind of put together. Maybe not end to end. It's not super long, but it is much bigger, much wider, and of course, it can carry many, many, many more people.
That's crazy. So now Carly says, wow, how many passengers can it have? So we're talking about the people who are actually on the cruise ship. We're calling them passengers, right? So how many passengers can it have since it's so big, right?
All right. Exactly. If you know how many passengers the Titanic carried, you can probably do the math, but we will get the real answer from Alex after the break.
The maximum number of passengers is 7,600. That's more than twice the Titanic's total number.
So, what did you do on your trip?
I spent a third of my time at sea on the water park slides.
That's so cool. I really envy your life.
Welcome back, everyone. So before the break, we were looking at this dialogue between Alex and Carly. And Alex is telling Carly about his big trip. The trip that he went on, the big cruise ship. And it's one of the biggest. It's the biggest in the world because it holds the record, right?
It absolutely is. It's so big, it would probably blow your mind if you saw it in real life. How tall and how long and how wide this ship is. We know it's 5 times the size of the Titanic.
That's right.
So what does that mean for the number of people on it? Well, Alex knows that number. He says the maximum number of passengers is 7,600.
Wow.
7,600 passengers on the boat. And remember, there's probably another, 3,000 workers on the boat as well. Waiters, cooks, the people who run the boat, keep the engines working, all that stuff.
Around 10,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. As he says, that's more than twice the Titanic's total number. So the boat's size is 5 times the size of the Titanic, but the number of people on it is twice the Titanic's number. That's times 2. I guess that's because this new boat will have, big rooms. It'll have, movie theaters and swimming pools and all sorts of stuff they didn't have on the Titanic. So that explains why it's so big, but doesn't carry 5 times the number of people. But still, 7,600 as the maximum number, that is still a lot of people in one ship out there in the middle of the ocean. Maximum is an adjective we can use to talk about the highest number possible, or at least the highest number that is expected. Oftentimes when you go to a room, or maybe even in an elevator, you might see a little sign that says maximum number of people 10. You can't fit more than 10 people in this elevator.
You walk in, the 10th or 11th person walk in, it will go beep.
Exactly right. You can't go in there. Or when you look at the weather in the morning, you might have 2 numbers for the temperature.
Yeah.
The maximum today might be 28, and the minimum, that's at the other end, the smallest number might be 12 or something like that. So in the day, you know that the highest or maximum temperature will be around 28 degrees, the highest number expected or allowed.
That's right. And now we're also looking at this word here, total, and that's an adjective. Total means the whole amount or sum of something, like when you add up all the numbers or things together.
We also use that word to talk about the number after the equals sign in a math problem. If
You
I
are
have
right.
6 plus 3, what's the total? The total is 9, right? That's the number once you get all the other numbers put together.
我们来看一下刚刚对话里提到的单字 maximum 形容词最大值的。Ivy carried the maximum number of books she could. Ivy 拿了她能拿的最多的书。Total 形容词总计的。The total number of students in the class is 30. 班上学生的总数是30位。接着我们回到课文当中。
All right, we are back with our dialogue. So now we know that Alex was on a giant ship with many people. Did he have a good time, though?
Well, Carly asked, so what did you do on your trip? So I guess Carly has never been on a cruise ship, so she doesn't really know what kind of things that you can do on the cruise ship. So that's why she's asking this question. What did you do on your trip? And what does Alex say now?
Yeah, well, he tells her, I spent a third of my time at sea on the water park slides.
Oh,
wow.
Sounds fun.
Okay, so 2 amazing things here. Yeah. They have a water park on the ship, which is already pretty amazing. And he also spent a third of his time in this water park. That's also quite amazing to me. A slide, of course, is something that you go to the top of, you often climb, and then you sit down and then you slide. Using that as a verb, you slide or slip your way down to the bottom. This is kind of like skiing, maybe, but this is more like something you would do in a park or in a water park. These are for kids in a small park, like in your town or city. Kids can climb up a ladder to the top and then they slide down to the bottom. That's fun. And then they go and they do it again and again and again. Or you might have been to somewhere bigger and more special, designed kind of like an amusement park where they have these slides. We often call those water parks. Great fun in the summer. Sometimes those slides twist and turn and you can go really fast and things like that. But generally, you are moving from the high place down to a low place using gravity, and you're often riding on water or something like that.
And it's usually very, very exciting, and a lot of kids, even adults, would love it too.
That is very true. He loved it so much, he spent a third of his time. That means 33%. Of his time, right? A third, 1 over 3.
That's right.
That's like 33% or 33.33. So that means for every 3 days that he was on the boat, he spent one of those days basically at the water park.
So I guess he really, really loved it.
That's safe to say.
Yeah, and then Carly said, that's so cool. I really envy your life. Okay, not just Carly, because I really envy Alex's life too. When you say envy, to envy someone, it means wanting something that someone else has. For example, like a toy or like a skill someone has, or feeling a little bit sad or resentful because you don't have it. Aw, you can go on this cruise ship, but I don't get to do that. I really envy you. So for example, you can also say, I felt a little envy when Sarah got a new bike because I really wanted one too.
Aww. Well, we could get you a bike.
Thank you.
No problem.
我们来看一下刚刚对话里提到的单字 slide 名词滑梯 Mike went down the slide very fast. Mike 很快地滑下了滑梯 envy 动词羡慕 I envy Sarah because she can travel so much. 我羡慕 Sarah 因为她能够经常旅行文法的部分刚刚提到了 at sea 在海上注意 sea 之前不加任何冠词哦。我们来看看这个例句 The fishermen spent most of their time at sea. 渔夫们大部分时间都在海上 Fisherman 指的就是渔夫接着我们回到课文当中
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. I think I envy him a little bit for going on this giant cruise ship. I don't know if I would spend a third of my time at the water park, but still, to spend a sixth of my time, half of that at the water park, that would still be fun, and there'd be a lot of other things to do. All right, that's all the time we have today.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Alex is telling Carly about his trip.
The cruise ship blew my mind. It was huge.
I heard it holds the record for the world's largest cruise ship.
Yeah, I found out later that it's 5 times larger than the Titanic.
Wow. How many passengers can it have?
The maximum number of passengers is 7,600. That's more than twice the Titanic's total number.
So, what did you do on your trip?
I spent a third of my time at sea on the water park slides.
That's so cool. I really envy your life.
我们来复习一下这一课的重点单字跟文法。单字的部分 maximum 形容词最大值的 total 形容词总计的 slide 名词滑梯 envy 动词羡慕。接着我们来看文法的部分 blow one's mind 令某人叹为观止 The ending of the movie blew Leo's mind 那部电影的结局让 Leo 很震撼 hold the record 保持记录Calvin holds the record for the world's fastest marathon time. Calvin 是马拉松完赛时间最短的世界纪录保持人。At sea 在海上 The sailors are at sea for months at a time. 船员们一次出海就是好几个月。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，那我们下一次再见喽，拜拜。
Are you a fan of ceramics? They are objects made from clay and then are shaped and later baked in a hot oven until they become hard. Usually they are used to make things like dishes, pots, and decorative items. If you do like ceramics, there's a place in Yingge you must check out called the Yingge Ceramins Museum. The Yingge Ceramics Museum is a must-see in Yingge District in New Taipei City. It opened in 2000. The museum is known for its modern design and ceramic sculptures. The first floor introduces the key steps of ceramics and traditional skills. On the second floor, you can learn about the history of ceramics in Yingge and their uses in modern technology. The museum is working to protect Taiwan's ceramics culture. It offers classes and hands-on activities. International artists also come here to share ideas. The Yingge Ceramics Museum is a fun place to check out. I think it's very noble of the Yingge Ceramics Museum to try and preserve Taiwan's ceramics culture, and I think they deserve all our support. So next time you're in Yingge, I would totally recommend going to the Yingge Ceramics Museum. Let us help protect Taiwan's ceramics culture together.